Caitlin Clark officially done for the 2025 WNBA season, as she and the Fever announced on social media. The Fever and Clark saying that she tried to get back on the floor. It appears that she just ran out of time, not able to get enough confidence back in her body as the season wraps up and the playoffs are likely about to begin for Indiana.
The season is finally over for Caitlin Clark. For her, it's more than just a difficult break. The WNBA is in a terrible situation. Fans were kept up to date with hazy daily updates. When her reappearance was promised, ticket sales soared. Requests for refunds are suddenly flooding in. How did the league's top player, who drives attendance and ratings, wind up out with a run of escalating ailments that appear to be more the result of poor management than bad luck? More significantly, why did the WNBA and the Fever continue to give us cautious hope even while Clark's body was disintegrating right in front of us? Before we dissect it, leave a kind note for Caitlin Clark in the comments below and let us know. If you think the Fever will succeed, playoffs without her? Come on.
Caitlin Clark out for the remainder of the 2025 season, something we all think we knew was coming after what Stephanie White said earlier today. We couldn't be too sure until we see it for ourselves. And with this announcement from the GOAT's mouth herself, Caitlin Clark won't be returning this season, nor if the Indiana Fever make the playoffs.
Her injury story, which no one wanted to believe, began when her sophomore year nearly fell apart. The time frame is now clearly written out, making the pattern simpler to perceive. She first had quad discomfort in May, which prevented her from playing in a preseason game. She had to miss several games due to a strained left quadriceps on May 24th, 4 games into the regular season. A left groin strain was added to the list at the end of June. The breaking point then arrived. Her campaign ended on July 15th when she suffered a right groin injury in the last minute of a game. And just as supporters believed that things were getting better, August revealed that she had a bone bruise in her left ankle during rehabilitation. What should have been Clark's breakthrough sophomore season devolved into one shutout after another, and by the end of the season, she had only played in 13 games.
I mean, it's a gut punch that basically encompasses an entire season of them. The Fever have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a weight for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, the anticipation of her possibly coming back, only for that not to happen, takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WNBA.
There was frustration associated with each halt along that time frame. Her injuries were often described by the team as everyday language that gave viewers hope. That expression implied a speedy recovery and permitted optimism and ticket sales to continue. However, the truth was more nuanced. After recovering from the quad strain, she was obviously constrained. Her efficiency decreased, her minutes were controlled, and she appeared to be a player looking for rhythm while never being completely healthy. People took notice. Even though Coach Stephanie White informed reporters that the Fever were using their West Coast tour as an opportunity to assess her progress, public reporting and fan reactions began to raise doubts about whether her returns were hurried. White added that Clark hadn't been doing a lot of contact work, which suggested she wasn't quite 100%.
As well, because Caitlin Clark fans, I want to say Fever fans, but at this point, so many of you, including myself, has lost faith in everybody involved in leadership and in management and coaching. We've just sort of, I got to tell you, I don't have any more real good things to say about the Fever organization as of now, because I will contend that they have known this was going to happen, and they did not want to tell anybody.
The issue of overcompensation surfaced at that point. The body moves the load elsewhere when one place isn't healed, which creates the conditions for another to break down. Patching a leaky pipe without addressing the pressure is analogous to the system eventually breaks down once more. Clark had a typical groin injury. The cycle continued as the quad's stress was transferred to the surrounding muscles. The messaging, meanwhile, continued to be strangely positive. Fans saw glances. It was confirmed that Clark was almost ready to return when she was seen jogging gently during practice, getting some warm-up shots, and even laughing with teammates. According to team claims echoed by local media, she will soon be able to play again. However, experts are aware that rapid recoveries rarely last and that quad and groin injuries persist. The more dismal reality conflicted with the apparent hope, resulting in a vicious cycle where each claimed recovery simply made the disappointment worse when another one occurred.
Clark, a two-time All-Star and the 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year, has been sidelined suffering a right groin injury during the Fever's 87-77 win over the Connecticut Sun on July 15th. If you guys remember that game, Caitlin Clark put the team on her back in the winding minutes to give the Indiana Fever that lead. Clark also suffered a bone bruise at a later date during her recovery process.
The moment everything collapsed was
It was July 15th when everything fell apart. Clark's season ended when she suffered another groin injury in the last minute of a game, this time to her right side. The picture got increasingly clearer from there. Her body has never had a chance to completely reset after months of rehabilitation and partial comebacks. The subsequent bruising on her ankle during her rehabilitation process felt like a reminder of how precarious things had gotten and an insult to her already existing injuries. After a while, fans realized that she had been persevering through a compromised season and stopped accepting the cautious updates.
And this is what Caitlin wrote. I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way fans continue to show up for me in the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I'm so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through the adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the playoffs.
Whatever illusions remained were dispelled by her own words. When asked how she felt about the result, she replied, "Disappointed isn't a big enough word." She acknowledged that she worked out every day in the gym in hopes of making a comeback. No team news release was as powerful as that unvarnished honesty. While the public narrative suggested that Clark was about to be okay, she had put in every ounce of effort to save her season. The truth was straightforward in the end. She was sidelined by a series of injuries that accumulated, depriving the team of the one player who had instantly transformed the league's relevance.
Well, it all started last year, in her rookie season, where she received 20% of all the flagrant fouls in the league. And most of them came from Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky. And these weren't basketball plays. They were not only fouling her, but they were getting up, laughing about it, laughing about Caitlin Clark getting assaulted. Any other work environment, people go to jail for what's going on.
Additionally, there is another layer to this. Many were forced to observe Clark's physical toll from each game as her ailments mounted. She was positioned by the league as the new face of women's basketball, but under continual strain, her body failed. Supporters started posing more challenging queries. Why did it appear that no one was shielding her on the floor if she was already facing so many setbacks? At that point, her annoyance with the injuries itself gave way to her treatment on the court and the referee's failure to assist her. That annoyance turned into something more serious: the controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark's officiating and the league's decision to treat its best player. This is the tale of the WNBA's golden goose gamble, referees being scrutinized and bullying on the floor.
Urge DOJ and FTC to investigate WNBA's misleading practices. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So we are here now. We are here now. And what's crazy about all of this is that, guys, this is I'm not going to come on here and say that they're going to lose. Because if there was an investigation going into this team, they're not going to lose this investigation. Oh, they're going to win. Whoever is representing Caitlin is going to win.
Numerous supporters and media voices started indicating a concerning trend. Even though Clark was making a lot of contact, the whistle wasn't constant. The officiating, according to observers, never seemed to change to shield a star player. Hard fouls that went uncalled seemed to occur in every nationally televised game, and the same debate erupted on social media. Why is the most well-known player in the league taking so much abuse without any defense?
And last year, I noticed how much it was just Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was taking all the hits. Caitlin Clark was taking all the abuse. But this year they've added Sophie Cunningham. She gets more flagrant fouls on her than anybody in the league besides Caitlin Clark. And Aaliyah Boston, she's been taking hits as well. But the worst thing is the consistency. So they don't call flagrant fouls, or most of the time, Caitlin Clark could be held for an entire game at a time. They don't call fouls. They don't call common fouls.
It wasn't just random conjecture. Receipts and videos showed Clark being shoved, struck, and generally harassed every time she took the court. Such plays stoked the indignation. Fans paused their feeds and played back those scenes in slow motion, highlighting physical play that seemed to go much beyond allowing them to play, as well as slaps across the arm and shoulders pressed into her chest. For pundits, highlight shows, and even casual spectators, the question of whether referees were treating Clark differently grew beyond basketball.
They play against Breanna Stewart. She goes to the line 14 times. Asia Wilson goes to the line 13 times. And Aaliyah Boston can't play 20 minutes in a game without being on the bench in foul trouble. That's another problem that we're dealing with. But like I said, this year, it's not just Caitlin Clark. If you wear that Indiana Fever jersey, consider it done. The refs are not going to be fair, and they are going to cheat and do whatever it takes to do what the higher-ups say.
But justice wasn't the only consideration here. There were actual repercussions. Unrestrained physical play put further strain on a body already coping with groin and quad issues. The accumulation, along with the injuries she sustained during live action and the subsequent relapse of an ankle injury during rehabilitation, increased the likelihood of a season-ending collapse. Although there is no evidence of a purposeful cover-up, there is no denying the pattern of evasive communication and outspoken public indignation.
For the last 2 weeks, Stephanie White knew where this was going to end up. I would say for the last month or so, they kind of had a feeling where this was going to go. The main issue, another day-to-day injury that turns into a season ender. Another day-to-day injury that turns into a season ender. And if you don't call that a lack of transparency, I don't know what to call that.
Critics also connected the story to business choices. Even as the weeks turned into months, the Fever and the league continued to refer to Clark's situation as day-to-day. At the same time, arenas grew to accommodate demand, sold-out road games continued, and ticket prices skyrocketed. Fans were furious when Clark was declared out because they believed they had been promised something they would never actually receive. There was the impression that clear, open updates of her true health were subordinated to business interests, the assurance of full seats, and national ratings.
They could have easily said 2 months, 1 to 2 months, be evaluated in the next 6 weeks. Instead, they played this day-to-day, game-time decision, probable, questionable nonsense for the last 8 weeks. And that is why fans are so pissed off for the most part. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I know if they were upfront and didn't BS us, people wouldn't be that angry at the organization, at least not as angry as they are now.
Perception is important. You can see how the contradictory plot lines generated suspicion if you stand back. On the one hand, there is the obvious punishment on the court, the ambiguous injury dates, and the dazzling marketing that portrays Clark as a generational star. Fans made the connection and came to the conclusion that referees swallowed whistles and officials minimized severity in order to maintain the league's short-term success. The credibility hit is real, regardless of whether intent can be demonstrated. And at the moment, credibility is crucial for the WNBA. For the first time in years, Clark's presence resulted in buzz, increased TV ratings, and soaring ticket sales that were comparable to men's coverage. The league couldn't afford to lose her not only to injury, but also in the midst of a public outcry. The spotlight on broadcasts is now waning, playoff races seem flatter, and the Fever's aspirations of winning the championship vanished as quickly as the news was released.
The Fever's still likely to make it into the playoffs, and I do continue to credit their resilience and what they've put up with and what they're capable of, and they will go down swinging when they do eventually go down, because I just don't think they have the talent to stay up at this point. But I mean, Caitlin Clark said it, disappointed is not a big enough word. And I feel it's fair to say that, for any right-minded person, that's the word on everybody's mind, getting the news that CC's season is indeed done.
With Clark incapacitated and the Golden Goose gamble backfiring, the question remains unanswered. What became of the group that was formed around her? The focus now immediately turns to the Indiana Fever and their ability to continue playing. Without the guy who made them a national attraction overnight, the pressure is at an all-time high right now. With 3 games remaining, the Fever, who have 21 wins and 20 defeats, are battling for the 8th and last playoff berth. Since the Los Angeles Sparks are only 1.5 games behind, every possession in the final stretch could determine whether Indiana plays from home or extends its season. Survival. In Caitlin Clark's absence, the focus has changed from publicity and hype to just surviving.
It's unfortunate that we were robbed of Caitlin Clark's sophomore season. She came out with a triple-double against the Chicago Sky. Triple-double first game of the season. Returns from injury, 32 points against the New York Liberty. The best 45 seconds in the WNBA this year. Pull up 3, bang. Pull up 3, bang. Pull up 3, bang. 9 points in 40 seconds.
The roster now has to rely on its surviving leaders as a result of this urgency. With her scoring, Kelsey Mitchell has emerged as the offensive mainstay and is keeping Indiana afloat. When all else fails, she is the seasoned player who knows how to create points or stabilize a half-court set. The 2-time All-Star Aaliyah Boston has done the same indoors. She is the pillar of the team, grabbing rebounds, playing defense, and requesting double teams to open doors for others. Additionally, role actors have entered more significant situations. By playing perimeter defense and establishing a physical tone that provides Indiana an advantage, Lexi Hall has established herself. When games degenerate into chaos, Sophie Cunningham's shooting and toughness on the wing offer stability. Coach Stephanie White has referred to these players as stabilizers, even though they might not light up box scores every night. Just what a playoff contending club needs when Clark isn't there. To keep things together, the Fever have also relied on tactical roster movements. In particular, when exhaustion or foul issues stretch the rotation thin, veteran acquisitions and hardship contracts, such as bringing in seasoned players like Odyssey Sims, Chloe Beebe, Ari McDonald, and Shaw Petty, have helped fill in the voids. When depth became a problem, White needed the flexibility to keep her club competitive, not star power, which is why she made those acquisitions. Although it isn't spectacular, it has helped Indiana maintain its lead over the Sparks' closing ground. White herself has had to provide strong guidance for all of it. She has had to change lineups, modify roles, and maintain her players' confidence that they can do more than simply get by without Clark. Her focus on group accountability has kept the season from falling apart. She has emphasized the components that, when combined, still give the team a chance to contend for a spot in the postseason rather than relying solely on one player. It is not the goal of the story to duplicate what Clark provided. It's about coming up with fresh strategies to compete. In games where they could have lost, Indiana has remained obstinate due to Mitchell's scoring, Boston's inside strength, Hull's defense, and Cunningham's toughness. The Fever are still placing themselves in a position to determine their own season, when you include the reinforcements from hardship contracts. It won't be because opponents underestimated them, or because the schedule fell their way if Indiana makes it to the playoffs. It will be because the club established a foundation in the midst of chaos. Role players refused to vanish, and veterans stepped forward. It's worth watching the payout. Evidence that the Fever have the tenacity to be relevant in the postseason discussion, even in the absence of their star. However, this season is about more than just Indiana's flexibility. It concerns the broader revelations made by Clark's injury. The league as a whole must now consider what went wrong and what this incident indicates about the WNBA's treatment of its best player as the Fever battled through their last stretch. This season seems to many fans like proof that there was a breakdown in the league's and the team's communication on player health. Although the Fever's front staff acknowledges the genuine frustration, Clark's long-term welfare has always come first. According to Amber Cox, general manager of the Fever, the team anticipates having Clark fully recovered by 2026, a strong indication that the way forward would be determined by recovery rather than immediate benefits. Players like Mitchell, Boston, Hull, and Sims continue to fight in the meantime, demonstrating that Indiana is still very much alive. It is now your turn. Leave a kind note for Caitlin Clark in the comments section and let us know if the Fever can still qualify for the playoffs without her. Turn on all notifications, like, and subscribe to ensure you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next video. Click the video on the screen.